Welcome back to the Ascension Series. So, today we're going to talk about arriving in your highest timeline and what that looks like, how to really do that, and why is trust so important, which seems like an obvious statement that trust is important. But I'm going to share again, I do things the hard way so I can shorten the curve for you so that you don't have to do it the hard way. And I'm going to share my journey towards trust today, as well as the universal law of rhythm and how that really impacts our journey. So let's jump in. We did the retreat, Sarah Rose and I, on last week on the 21st and the 22nd. It was beyond powerful. Such a huge group of souls all over the planet. It was beautiful. So thank you for participating in that. And it was really interesting how, as we were sharing some of those things, Sarah Rose and I were both having this moment of like, yeah, we've got this. We're going to level up. Oh my God. And it was so inspirational and so motivational that it sort of left us both in this high vibration, this like feeling expanded and not really knowing what to do with that energy. So I wasn't able to get on TikTok last week, just being booked up with all my clientele, our students, our divine mentorship program, divine alignment, like all the things, and the retreat. But I'm hoping to get back on this week. And I'm hoping as well, planning, aiming for to do another live. Gonna be brave, thick skin, and take all the dis that I get on those things as well. So I'm gonna try and do that later on this week, probably on Thursday. Today is Tuesday, September 26th. Energy is huge. So we're going to talk about that first, and then we're diving into your highest timeline. There is a tremendous amount of activation happening for us right now. We've been saying this for a long time, but guys, it's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger over the course of the next like forever, probably. It's not going to slow down. And I know a lot of us are feeling the heaviness and the angst of when does it get easy? When do I get to finally be liberated and have freedom and step into my highest timeline? And it's a journey. This is an evolutionary process, not Darwinism, an evolutionary process, an ascension process. There is no destination. That is the biggest thing I need you to understand. There's no destination. This is an endless journey. And whatever you master in this life, you restart in the next life and continue that mastery. I don't know what happens after we master, being human. I don't know what the reincarnation cycle looks like that because I'm still in the stand meat suit, but I guess we'll find out when we get there. Okay, so arriving in your highest timeline, what is that? What does that look like? What is your higher self? How does this all come into play with our spiritual awakening? So, your higher self is the consciousness that is within you, that is what we are evolving into. Your highest timeline is living in the highest vibration available for you. So your highest timeline is not like an arrival, like, oh my gosh, it's that house, that career, soul purpose. It's not that. It is your highest vibration right here, right now. So you don't have to put the pressure on yourself of like, I haven't arrived yet, or I'm not awakened yet. This is just a journey towards that process, right? So your highest timeline is going to be, what are you capable of vibrationally aligning with right here, right now? We all have vibration, right? So each one of your cells in your body holds consciousness as well as your human experience, your human belief structure. This is very subconscious, it's unknown. And we are allowing that vibration to radiate into our electromagnetic field. And that's what the law of attraction is responding to. So you are getting the results of your vibration consistently. Raising your vibration is about moving towards vibrations that are not limiting you. So if you look at fear, survival based vibration, jealousy, anxiousness, forlorn, giving up, I'm not worthy, it's not safe for me to be seen. Those are all lower vibrations that are holding you in survival mode. And as you begin to heal that subconscious space, which is all about healing the inner child, healing your emotional body, healing your mental body, you begin to lift your vibration towards believing in or trusting the process. You can align with whatever you desire, really, truly. It's unlimited. So to hear people talk about manifesting, this is what it is. It's about your vibration being matched with the law of vibration or the law of attraction. So you're always attracting into your life what your vibration is. So the deep dive, absolutely essential, but trust is a key component of this. So this is where I fucked it up for so long. I'm going to be really transparent and vulnerable with this right now. So I've gone through my journey. I, like you guys know, born in the womb, remembering my past lives, in the womb, connected to my ascended guides. We'll call them that for now. The galactic councils, the Galactic Federation of Light, all the different councils that are up there, just endless conversation. And then being a little girl, I was just connected into that. I remember having conversation with them, seeing them, witnessing them, being guided by them, knowing I was meant for something on this planet, knowing that I was meant for divine purpose, that I was meant to be of service. And so I wander through my journey, get really dumbed down in my teenage years, like so much ridiculous abuse. Oh my God. Um, a lot of neglect, a lot of abandonment, a lot of abuse, and then being trapped into this very intense religion that taught me spirit was bad. So a little bit of like brainwashing, I'm going to put it like that. It was intense, very cult like religion. And I had to navigate all of those lessons while knowing that there was something bigger than me that wasn't um, what their faith was showing me. So I moved through my journey. My psychic abilities blow wide back open around the age of 18. I tried to take my life. And during that process, it was actually on my wedding day. Didn't want to do it. Didn't want to do it. Didn't listen to my intuition, but I felt very trapped. And I tried to take my life on my wedding day. I was 18. Don't get married at 18. Like, you don't even know who you are. But anyway, um, so start to, through that journey of attempting to take that from myself, because I was just done, didn't want to do it anymore. It was too hard. I was going into a marriage that I did not want. It was a very pressured situation. Very, that was just how their faith functioned. Get married, make babies, all of that stuff. And it just wasn't for me. And it was a huge, scary event to walk through. But that created the realization through that process of it, that attempt of just trust the process. You're going to arrive. You're going to understand why very soon. So the two things I know from that particular situation is I came in to heal the generational trauma. Um, I don't think I'm the only one in my family that is meant for that journey either, but I definitely came through to heal the generational trauma. And then giving birth to my daughter, as I healed my trauma, it healed her alignment, but then she is here to heal the generational trauma of her father's side. So it's a joint effort. And then that liberates every generation moving forward. So we both signed up for something. I don't know why, but here we are. Right. So going through my journey, trust wasn't there. I did not trust the process because I had been inundated, overwhelmed with so much abuse and smothering of you're small, you don't have a voice, do what we tell you to do, you're not worth it, you're stupid. Um, all of this dumbing down energy that made me stop believing in myself. Navigating into my 20s and getting divorced very young, having two babies, divorce. I was like 23, trying to figure this out. And that's when I really propelled myself into purpose. But this is how I fucked it up. So I used my gifts. The universal law of rhythm. The universal law of rhythm is you will have ups and downs. Life is like this. The downs are meant to be a pause, a opportunity to question, what am I aligning with? An opportunity to look at what are the belief structures in the subconscious that are creating the vibration that the law of attraction is responding to. They are meant to pause to use the universal law of inspired action. So when we're on our highs, we're like, yeah, and we're going and we're feeling great and it's amazing. But then when we often will lose sight of what else is available for us because we're just in this high of like, yeah, keep going, keep going. So when we have those lows, then we have the opportunity to pause, to contemplate what's the contrast in my life? What is the lack in my life? When we are aware of where we have contrast or where we have lack, it gives us the opportunity to look at what's the exact opposite of that. And then we can start to align with the opposite of the lack. So, the law of rhythm, you're going to have times, I still do. I've been doing this for so long. You're going to have times, days, weeks, maybe a month, maybe a bit longer of a down where you're not feeling great. You're the anxiousness or the depressive tendencies, or leaning into a little bit more addiction or codependency or self-doubt or absolute fatigue or lower financial flow or space from loved ones or a little bit of conflict with loved ones. These are very normal waves within the human experience. We obviously don't want to experience them, but without those, we can't truly become clear on what our desire is. It's those moments that are opportunities to self evaluate, to become self aware. And as we do that, we can change the vibration. We can look at what within my subconscious wants to be healed. It's so important. And when we're on a high, we don't stop to do that. As like, we're human, we're not the smartest species. We're very instinctual. We like run with the highs and get all downy down with the lows. This is where I didn't understand that. And so my lows, I would go into blaming myself. What am I doing wrong? Why aren't my meditations working? Why do I have this narcissist that I'm dating? Why am I single? Why am I having challenges with navigating my children? Like, ugh, I go into panic and I would think it was me. I was doing something wrong. And I would take blame and shame. Oh man, did I ever shame myself? I jumped into the bucket of I'm a piece of shit. Like, I'm clearly not worth it. It's never going to happen. And then all of a sudden, it would start to, as I would calm that story, is that's the thing. The more you speak it, the more you bring it to life. The more you think it, the more you bring it to life. But when we catch those lows, which I didn't do in the beginning, when we catch those lows, we can go, oh, that is actually my mental, emotional body bringing something to the surface for me to heal. It's this demonstration of let's have a look at this, let's change the vibration. So when we go back to the beginning statement of you're here to master whatever's available for you, and then we do the next step and we pick up where we left off, right? So we have this little alarm system that says pay attention, look at this, heal this. I didn't realize that in the beginning, so I would just push through, and then I would get angry, which I love anger. Anger is a phenomenal frequency if you're not projecting it onto other people. If you're using it for the awareness of, I'm done with this, this is what I'm going for. So I get angry and I'd be like, "Fuck it. This is what I'm going after. I'm worthy. I'm deserved." Blah, 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 blah. And all of a sudden it would flip. And I'd be like, oh, see, let's not do it the hard way. Right. So instead, we're going to look at the things that are surfacing, rewrite them, and then move into the next level. So we're going to master the healing of what wants to be healed and then level up. So that's one big moving piece for me that I didn't understand right away. It took me quite some time. Once I started to understand that, it then turned into not realizing it, but I wasn't trusting the process. I wasn't trusting my navigation. I wasn't trusting my internal compass. I wasn't trusting my soul, my consciousness. I was still forcing, busting my ass, trying so hard. And all the evidence was there. I just didn't see it. The pivotal turning point for me wasn't even that long ago. It was about 4 years ago, right before I met my fiance. I didn't know where I wanted to live. We were in the throes of like the vid. So I came home to Canada, not sure where I want to land. And I decided I was going to go out east to the East Coast and just explore it and live there for a bit. So traded in my purple Mini Cooper, which I loved, and shifted over to this massive SUV that I could pack my life into, and Frankie, my dog at the time, still my puppy. And away I went. Didn't listen at all to my intuition and didn't trust the process. I'm very impulsive. Like, for those of you that know me, you're going to be laughing. And you're like, yeah, I'm super impulsive. When I make my mind up on something, which happens in a heartbeat, I go for it. And I don't necessarily stop to listen to, is this my truth? So I didn't do that. Bought an SUV that had endless complications in the beginning. And it was like a short timeline. I had like 4 days to figure it all out and go. So bought the SUV, didn't pay attention to all of the maybe not the best decision time. Got in it, started the drive. That damn thing, it took me 3 days to drive across the country, across Canada, and well, halfway across Canada because I was in the middle. That SUV broke down day one. So as I was arriving to my first stop, which was a 9 hour drive, so I did 9 hours, I was a little hesitant and I was like, what is going on with this? Got to the first hotel stop and it broke down right in the parking lot. I then went into extensive panic. Like, I have another 18 hours of driving to do. I have 2 more days of driving to do. Like, what am I going to do here? So I went into panic. I went into survival. Did not trust one, the journey, two, the vehicle. And oh my gosh, that thing broke down the whole drive. The only way it would work is if I was like hammering the gas. So speeding, don't recommend. Like not excessively speeding, but like finding opportunity, like throwing it into neutral, throwing it back into drive, and just trying to keep that gas going. There was one point moving through Nova Scotia where I was going through the mountains and there was construction and it was stopped on a like uphill and there was a freaking motorcycle behind me and I'm trying to hold it in neutral and drive with 2 feet, like brake while pumping the gas so it didn't stall out. Like it was hell. I was shaking, I was trembling, I was covered in tears, like whelmed with tears. I was texting like one of my good friends, like, I don't know if I'm going to make it. I don't know what to do. Because during this time, it was a lockdown and there was no stopping. I couldn't stop at a hotel. I couldn't stop for a mechanic. I had to arrive and then stop. Plus, I didn't have the financial flow to spend 2 weeks of quarantine in a hotel, plus fix the vehicle, then continue my journey, right? So, total panic. I remember praying to my guides, talking to my guides, like just freaking out. Third day. So, I take the ferry across. Third day, I get off the ferry. The car's working fine. And then it starts up again, like hardcore. Then I drove through a hailstorm where it was like a hose on my window shield. I couldn't see a thing. Like I literally attracted aligning with the most imperfect timing. It was hell. Got into Newfoundland where I was going, got into the village, like I was staying just outside the village. And all of these people knew I was coming because I had a client in Newfoundland who was like aligning the whole thing for me and being like, she's coming, her car's broken down, like, look out for her. And I'm highly identifiable. Like I'm the chick covered in tattoos and I dress like a wannabe rock star. So I arrive, they see me, they navigate me to the cottage where I was staying. I threw them the keys. They took it in and got it fixed for me. I went inside, bawled my eyes out because I was like, oh my God, I actually made it. And I didn't think I was going to. The next day, and this is where it gets crazy, I went into a meditation. And in that meditation, my guides, so Max and a couple of my other guides, like my predominant get your shit together dime guides, show up in my meditation. And they're like, we're going on a journey. And I'm like, okay. So we start climbing this mountain, and I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. Climbing the mountain of life. I'm victorious. Like I made it. I arrived. And they're like, no, shut up. Listen. Okay. So I climb the mountain, and at the top of the mountain, there's this cliff, and it's overlooking a cove. Okay. So it's all these high rock walls. There's beautiful trees, like really gorgeous Canadian trees, like the pine trees and whatever. And I'm leaning against a tree looking into the cove. And so the water's dark. This is beautiful cove. There's a little shoreline with a cottage off to the side. And then there's a canal that goes into the ocean so I can see the ocean. And I'm sitting on this cliff against a tree. And my guides are like, we have got to help you understand something. And I was like, yeah, let's do it. I experience a tremendous amount of discomfort in open bodies of water, especially dark water. Not my jam at all. And they're like, down there, we want you to put a boat. So what are you going to put? So I'm like, okay. So I put like a little rowboat. And they're like, that's the boat? And I'm like, yeah, it's gorgeous. This is amazing. And I'm looking down. They're like, no paddles? And I'm like, you said a boat. And they're like, all right, go get in the boat. I'm sorry, what? No. And they're like, you're going to sit here and you're going to put your energetic body in the boat. So I'm like, why didn't I pick a yacht? Here we go. So my energetic body goes into the boat and I can hear the water banging up against the wood boat, like the rowboat. I'm like, hell no, I'm back up on the cliff. And I'm like, I can't do it. And they're like, take a deep breath. What do you require? And I'm like, remove the fear. They're like, get back in the boat. So I get back in the boat. Nope, back on the cliff. What do you require, Dime? And I'm like, remove the fear. They're like, do it again. So this goes on for a little while because I'm a bit slow. Again, I do it the hard way. So finally, I'm sitting there and they're like, what's your focus? And I said, removing the fear. They're like, so what are we focused on? I'm like, the fear. Well, damn. They're like, where focus goes, energy flows. What do you require, Dime? And I said, help me embody trust. And they start laughing. And they're like, you get it. And I'm like, oh, man. They're like, what did you do the entire drive here? And I was like, remove the fear, remove the obstacles, let me arrive. They're like, so the fear of not arriving? I'm like, yeah. They're like, well done. How was that journey? And I'm like, it sucked. And Canada is beautiful, especially from Ontario all the way through to the East Coast. Well, all of Canada is actually it's really stunning, right? I didn't get to enjoy it because I was in my fear. So I have a good laugh over it. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm such a dumbass. Like, oh, I get it now. And so they're like, okay, so here's what we want you to do. You see that cottage over there? And I'm like, yeah. They're like, what is your desire? We're going to put all of your desires into that cottage. So when you walk through the doorway, you're walking to your highest timeline. And I was like, oh, okay. I want to change a million lives. I want to be of service for a long, long, long time. I want to be gifted the information. I want the courses to align that are required for me because I take what I do very seriously. I want that all to flow to me with ease so that I can continue to be of service to humanity. They're like, beautiful. And I'm like, oh, and da da da. So I start naming off things that I want. And they're like, perfect. What do you want for your physical body? And I was like, oh, it's highest vitality. So now I understand focus, high vitality for my body, not weight loss, healing fibromyalgia, healing cancer, healing all these things. No, no, no. The highest vitality. They're like, amazing. Is that everything? And I was like, yeah. And they're like, what about love? And I was like, oh, yeah, no, I'd really like that. I would love a partner, non-specific, a partner that is so connected to their inner child that it's like an escape, that it's just this playful, never ending sense of laughter and adventure. That's what I want in a partner. Also, very passionate, please. And they're like, okay. So I'm looking down at the cottage and I can see the chimney, like the fire's going with the chimney. And there's a man standing on the shoreline, a very tall, lean man. And I was like, oh, and they're like, you ready? I'm like, yeah. They're like, get in the boat. I'm like, okay. So I get in the boat. This time I'm sitting up and the boat is spinning really slowly and I'm taking in the view. And they're like, you don't have oars. You don't have paddles. Like, are you fearful of not arriving at your destination? Because you're in the middle of this cove and the cottage is over there on the other side of the canal going to the ocean. And I was like, I don't want to rush. Like, look at this view. And I was taking in the view, and the boat was just slowly, gently spinning around, like really slowly floating through this cove. And it was the most stunning view I've ever had. I knew what was over there. I knew I would navigate. I was comfortable. I was excited. I wasn't impatient, probably for the first time in my life. Then all of a sudden, they're like, all right, you ready? And I'm like, yeah. So I'm sitting up and they're like, what are we embodying? And I'm like, trust. They're like, great. I look down the canal and a massive shark, like the biggest thing I've ever seen, is barreling into the cove towards the boat. The little itty bitty rowboat, this massive shark. And I'm like, oh, embody trust. And so I would started breathing and I was reflecting on my drive there. I was reflecting on all the fear. And I'm like, there's no need for it. I trust this process. And the shark comes and it's about 10 feet away from me and it just goes deep into the dark water. So now I'm like, my heart's pounding. I'm like, what the, oh my God. And I'm like, holy crap. And I'm waiting for it. And I'm just like the anticipation of waiting for it. And I was like, like, trust. When I have a meditation, by the way, it's like I'm in it. So this felt very, very, very real for me. And then all of a sudden the water starts bubbling. And I look over the edge and this shark, mouth open, is coming up directly under the boat. And I'm like, I am trust. I am trust. And as I said that, the shark veered off behind the boat, creating this massive wave. And the little rowboat I was on flew to the shoreline and landed, like just whoop, 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 on shore. And I was like, oh my gosh. Then I got to get out of the boat and embrace the gentleman that was standing there, knowing that was my person, knowing that that would be the first thing that would arrive before I walked into that cottage, before I walked into that higher timeline. And that is exactly how it unfolded in real life, with minus the boat. So in my next meditation, he actually arrived and was like, I'm in Ontario. So then I drive all the way from Newfoundland back to Ontario. But this time I enjoyed the drive. This time I did not stress. This time I was fearless. This time I was in trust. And we connected within a couple of weeks. And my whole life from there has done a full circle into where I am now, which is way on the other end of the stick of where I started, let me tell you. So I was hoping, I'm trusting that that story is supportive. It is about embodying the desired frequency, not releasing the undesired. When we put our focus on the undesired, we enhance that in our life. When we put our focus on the desired, we shorten the gap to our highest timeline, to the arrival. Combine that with the law of rhythm, well, all 12 universal laws, but the law of rhythm, trusting your ups and downs. Life is going to do this. Your finances, your soul purpose, your love, your relationships, your body. There's this, right? And in the program, Fully Awaken and Ascend, the recorded program that I have online, I go really, really deep into all 12 universal laws and what to do with them, as well as the science behind your highest timeline, like the science behind like quantum entanglement, the quantum realm, how to use that. Okay. And then I also teach the Power 369, which is mind blowing. Anyway, in that program, I talk about this and I use this spring for a reason. So it's a coiled spring, and you can see that in order to go to the next level, there's a little low, there's a little down in order to go up to the next level. And then there's a little down to go to the next level. And you keep, this is the law of rhythm. This is the process. The cool part is every time you level up after a down, you're actually ascended, more awake, if you want to call it that. I don't know, more evolved. You're ascended. So this is how we're ascending into higher vibration. And each lull is designed for you. You are aligning with it so that you can have the moment to say, what within my subconscious, what within my beliefs is limiting me? And then the law of correspondence is everything's a reflection, the good, bad, ugly. So you get to look at the reflection in your life and go, where is there a lack? What do I actually, truly desire? Your desire, your imagination, your mind cannot conceive the impossible. So if you can daydream it, if you can conceive it within your mind, you can align, you can receive it. But it's up to you. It's up to you to realize that everything is happening for you, with you, through you, not to you. So incorporate the awareness of, if I'm on a down, if I'm having a down, if my ascension symptoms are really, really hard, if I'm feeling anxious or depressive thoughts, if I am frustrated and experiencing lack, that means I'm about to level up. And you will. Look at the lack, look at the reflection, embody trust, move through it. There you go. There's my story. All right, guys. Love you tremendously. I'm going to do my best to do a live on Thursday, which would be the 28th, right before the full moon. And I will do an energy forecast in that as well. So stay tuned for that and sign up for our newsletter. There's some cool stuff in it. I'm going to be launching the next tier of becoming a divine mentor. So that's my personal program that I teach. It's already, the schedule is all set. There's only 10 seats. I've seen 20 souls, but I don't have the bandwidth for 20. So we're going to do 10 for this round. I already have 3 signed up, meaning there's 7 seats left. So if you want more details on that, you can email me personally. Just in the subject line, put dime or diamond, and let me know that you're interested, and I will send you all of that information. It is a private invite. So I just need to feel your energy. So you have to reach out. And if you do, we'll move from there. And then we've got lots of other stuff coming up in the newsletter for you, lots of great stories and what's coming for the energy in October. We're going to talk a lot about how to navigate October in that letter. All right. Love you. Mwah. Continue to be brave, bold, raw, and I'll see you next time. Bye.